the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Olivia in Dallas, thank you and welcome.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
I was wondering if it's possible to maintain a state of grace without being part of a parish. And
tell me about that. Let me know more what you mean.
So I've been a Catholic my whole life, and my family had stopped practicing, going to church, only because when I was really young, my cousin was murdered by a priest.
Oh my God!
And he never asked for forgiveness. And instead of my parents trying to explain to their 5 to 10-year-olds the complexities of all of this, we leaned more into the spiritual side of our faith. Mm-hmm. And shortly after that, we moved across the country. And it was really difficult. It was a difficult time for us. And at that time, my eldest, we were going to another parish, and they had told us, she wanted to get confirmed. They said it's going to be hundreds of dollars to get confirmed. And that's when she was assaulted. And it had been really difficult to lean into a flock. And so I spent a lot of my time thinking about these things. And for some time, I turned away. And in my adult life, I've found my way back to God. And
yes.
I guess, I've been trying to find my place with Catholicism and with God. And I find that with prayer. Mm-hmm. But it still feels like whenever I go to a church, it still feels exclusionary. And to speak on Mary Beth's point, that it is tough for young people to simply exist and also stay on top of the education required to be part of a parish, like the other caller, the gentleman, who was taking a video of the man that receives communion. And for me, in my ignorance, I didn't know about confession to be in a state of grace in order to receive communion. Mm-hmm. And now I feel myself conflicted, and I guess what did Jesus do? Was he just existing the state of grace? Was he having his followers confess to him? Was what?
Yeah.
How can this be applicable for modern times? You
mean the sacrament of confession or reconciliation?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we take a step or two back, Olivia? And I promise you I will give you some thoughts on that question. So I want to make sure if I understood you correctly, somebody that you knew had been murdered by a priest, is that right?
Yeah, my cousin.
Okay. Was this in recent memory or long ago?
It was when I was 5, so okay. I still didn't understand. I didn't understand what was going on.
Right. Right. So that traumatized you and the rest of your family, and understandably so. It's a shocking, horrible thing for anyone to have to bear, but at 5 years of age, you were deeply traumatized by it. So the first thing that comes to my mind is, number one, God understands that you as a child and into your older years in adulthood, that you were deeply wounded by something beyond your control. You're not to blame for you're not to blame for how you reacted as a child and trying to process it as an adolescent and then becoming an adult, you were wounded and trying to deal with this heavy wound. Would that be a fair way of describing it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to just reassure you to understand God knows that. He understands and believe me, takes that into account. The Bible talks about how the Lord will not quench the smoldering wick, like a candle wick that's barely lit, but still kind of smoldering. He won't quench it, or he won't break the bruised reed. And you are very much in that world, or in that way, because you have been wounded by this. Something that few people ever have to deal with at that magnitude. So, what does the Lord do? He says that he's the good shepherd, and he leaves the 99 sheep who are there in the sheepfold, in the safety of the pasture, and he goes in search of that lost sheep. We don't know why that sheep got lost. It could be any set of circumstances. So if you think of that passage where the Lord is talking about that he's the good shepherd, and you yourself are that lost sheep, and what does he do? He comes to find you and to bring you home to safety, bring you back. And we don't know what that lost sheep went through and how terrifying it must have been, being chased by wolves, and who knows whatever happened in the time of that lost sheep before the Lord brought her back. But he did bring her back. So one of the things I'm picking up on is that you're on that journey with the Good Shepherd bringing you home. Now, that's what I'm picking up on. Would that be a fair statement too?
Yeah.
Okay. So the circumstances of what you went through, understandably, it changed the way you can relate to things like going to Mass on Sunday or going to confession. And so here too, I think, given what you've been through, it makes complete sense if you want to be really low-key about this. Maybe find Dallas is a big city, of course, but there are opportunities for maybe going to Mass not at a big parish. I don't know, and I'm not asking you to tell me, Olivia, but just to give you an example. In Irving, Texas, there's the University of Dallas. And the Cistercian Fathers, who are the largely the ones who run University of Dallas, they have I don't know if it's a friary or a priory or what they call it exactly, but they have a community there of priests who can offer spiritual direction. And there's daily Mass there. And there are other places like that, but that comes to mind since it's in the greater DFW area. So one thing that you might want to do is to kind of ease back into it in a place that's kind of quiet and off the beaten path, where you can be less in all the day-to-day rambunctiousness and activity of a big parish, if that's part of what's bothering you. That's one thing. And the same is true if you are having difficulty with going back to the sacrament of confession. To get into some spiritual direction with a Catholic priest who's got wisdom and experience and patience, who can really work with you and guide you so that this process of the Good Shepherd bringing you back can have its fullest effect in the best possible way. Is that something you've ever thought about? Maybe finding a good priest spiritual director?
I just didn't know where to begin.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of good people in the Diocese of Dallas. There are a lot of good priests in the Diocese of Dallas, and I'm not in a position to be able to say, go here or go there. But I think that could be one avenue if you were to get in touch with the Cistercian Fathers at the University of Dallas. Look them up. And that could be a starting point. and then inquire about that and see what they recommend. They may say, oh, well, Father so-and-so, he's in a good position to do spiritual direction. Now, that doesn't, of course, mean that you have to go through, you don't have to do that. You can go to confession anytime you want, and you can find a church maybe that's more traditional. Are you back in a parish yet, or are you still on your way back?
I go every once in a while, but not regularly.
Yeah. Well, I realize that it's a process, and I realize that you're hurting and you're dealing with these wounds that were inflicted by others and traumatized you. So keep going. And I'm not saying that in a joking way. I don't mean that in a joking way, of course. But keep going forward, and as best you can, hopefully with some help, with some spiritual direction, just keep your momentum going forward. Do you know of a good Catholic parish, maybe a small little quiet Catholic parish that you could plug into that's near you?
I think so.
Okay.
I just I get anxious about maybe communing with some of the people there, or maybe some of the judgment that I may get, or it just, I come from a really small town, and I just don't feel like this is the type of church and community I remember. And it feels more judgmental than a spiritual conversation where we're lifting each other up and knowing each other. And I feel like a lot of young people feel this way. And myself and my cousin, who I'm very close with, she and I are the same age. We talk about this a lot, and we both don't go to church, and we both struggle to find that community because
you're hurting, and you need help, and you need to be in a situation where you're not, because you're fragile, you don't want to be broken by people who are careless in what they say, or they come across as judgmental. I understand. I don't think that I've been in that situation myself, but I think I can kind of understand it. Let me just propose this. Now, I know that Dallas is a big area, but if you can get to Irving, Texas, which is just, what is it, just west of DFW, I think. It's not far. And if you were to, and in fact, I just looked on a map, you go down the 35E, was that the I-35E Texpress? Am I saying it right? And when it gets to Highway 114, you can get off there in Irving, and the Cistercian monastery is right there. It's right near the campus of University of Dallas. And here's what I found. I looked this up. So this Cistercian monastery, so it's in the order of priests who are there. It's been there since 1955, and it is a center for education and spiritual guidance. So I'm guessing that they're geared for people who are seeking spiritual direction. And it may well be that some of the priests in that monastery give spiritual direction. So it's not a parish. You're not going to be, in the middle of all that, but it has peaceful grounds, a beautiful chapel, priests there that you can talk to. Maybe that would be a good first step, just to make a visit and then see if maybe there's an opportunity for some spiritual direction. If you find it helpful and it brings some relief to you, then schedule more and then see where that leads. What do you think about that?
That's a great suggestion. I'll look into it.
Okay. And they are, I just want to see if I can give you a website. It is, let's see. It is, okay, here it is. Cistercian, and I'll spell it for you. Cistercian.org. So CISTERCIAN.org. Cistercian.org. That's the name of their religious order. And you on the website, you'll be able to see the monastery, the grounds. There's a picture of the priests. There's quite a few priests there, old and young. That's a good sign, too, because it means they have vocations. And it has information about their Benedictine life. It's a branch of the Benedictines. And just a lot of helpful things there. And I just feel a sense that maybe that's the best place to take your first step and talk with them. I have a feeling it will be helpful.
I think so.
Okay. Do you feel a little bit better now that we've talked?
Yeah.
I'm glad. Well, you have a standing invitation, Olivia. Please call back if you feel so moved and you want to get back in touch, maybe, in a couple of weeks, something like that, and just let me know how things are going, okay? You're not obligated, but I'm here for you if you want to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you,
right.
Patrick.
God bless you. I'll be right back.
That was the best of the week on Relevant Radio. The best way to listen to the best of the week is on the Relevant Radio app. Free and always free. Download and share the #1 free Catholic app today in the App Store.